Okay, so I need advice because I think I am losing my mind right now. My name is Marcus, and I have been with my fiancée, Emma, for 5 years. We got engaged 8 months ago, and honestly, I thought we were rock solid. She works in marketing, I am in software development, and we have this beautiful apartment in Seattle together. About 3 months ago, Emma started acting different. She would stay late at the office more often, and when I would text her, the responses got shorter and colder. Her phone became this guarded thing. She would take it everywhere, even to the bathroom. I noticed she changed her passcode, too. When I asked about it, she said, "I just wanted something more secure, Marcus. Do not be paranoid." I tried to brush it off, but my gut kept screaming something was wrong. Then, 2 weeks ago, I saw texts pop up on her laptop while she was in the shower. The preview showed, "Cannot wait to see you on the ship. It will be perfect." The name was just J in her messages. My heart dropped into my stomach. I did something I am not proud of. I went through her laptop while she was asleep. I found emails about a cruise booking, a 10-day Mediterranean cruise leaving from Barcelona. But here is the thing that made my blood run cold. She had booked two cabins, two separate cabins on the same deck, right next to each other. Cabin 8042 under her name, and cabin 8044 under someone named Jason Reeves. My hands were shaking as I read through their messages. They were planning this entire trip together. Messages about what ports they would visit, what excursions they would take, and the messages got explicit, really explicit. She talked about how excited she was to finally have 10 days alone with him, away from me. She actually wrote, "Marcus is so clueless. He will believe I am at that marketing conference in Austin." I felt like I was going to throw up. This woman I was planning to marry was not just cheating on me. She was planning an elaborate vacation with her affair partner while lying straight to my face. Here is where I probably lost my mind. Instead of confronting her immediately, I did something insane. I booked cabin 8043, the cabin literally between theirs. The cruise was expensive as hell, but I maxed out my credit card. I needed to see this with my own eyes. I needed proof before I confronted her. Emma told me about her conference 3 days later. She said, "It's a week-long thing in Austin, really boring marketing seminars, but it's important for my career." I said, "That sounds rough. I'll miss you." She smiled and kissed my cheek. That smile felt like poison now. "I'll miss you too, babe, but it'll go by fast." I watched her pack. She packed nice dresses, bikinis, expensive lingerie I had never seen before. My heart was breaking with every item she folded into that suitcase, but I kept my face neutral. I had become a pretty good actor myself. The flight to Barcelona was torture. I kept imagining them together. Were they on the same flight? Different flights? I had no idea. I checked into a hotel near the port the night before embarkation, barely sleeping. My mind kept racing with scenarios of what I would do when I saw them together. Boarding day arrived. I got to the port early, wearing a baseball cap and sunglasses. I felt like a spy in a bad movie. I watched from a distance as passengers checked in. Then I saw her. Emma walked up to the check-in desk, rolling her suitcase, looking absolutely beautiful in a sundress. She was alone. 20 minutes later, I saw him, Jason Reeves. Tall, probably 6'2", dark hair, wearing an expensive-looking polo shirt, handsome in that annoying way that made me want to punch something. He checked in separately, acting like just another solo traveler. I waited another 30 minutes before checking in myself. My cabin was ready by 4 in the afternoon, cabin 8043, right between them. The walls on cruise ships are thin. I learned that fact very quickly. I could hear Emma on my left side, unpacking, humming to herself. On my right side, Jason was talking on his phone to someone, probably a friend, talking about how this is going to be an amazing trip. At 7 o'clock, I heard Emma's door open and close, then Jason's door. I cracked my door open slightly and watched them meet in the hallway.
They did not kiss or touch. They were being careful. Smart. She said, "Your cabin is nice?" He said, "Perfect, just like we planned." They walked toward the elevator together. I followed at a distance. The ship was massive, so staying hidden was easy. They went to one of the restaurants on Deck 9. I watched from the bar as they sat together, holding hands across the table, laughing. Emma threw her head back at something Jason said, touching his arm. I felt sick. I ordered a whiskey, then another. That first night I could not sleep. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, listening to the ocean outside my window. Around midnight, I heard Emma's door open, then Jason's door. Footsteps in the hallway, a door closing, silence. Then the noises started, through the wall. I put a pillow over my head, but I could still hear them, laughing, talking. Then other sounds, sounds that made me want to break through the wall. This went on for an hour, maybe more. Time felt weird. Then I heard her door open again. Footsteps, Jason's door closing, silence. I did not sleep that night. I just lay there, rage building inside me like a pressure cooker. The ship rocked gently on the waves, but inside my head was a storm. The next day was our first port stop, Palma de Mallorca. I watched them at breakfast from across the dining room. They sat at a table by the window, feeding each other fruit, acting like honeymooners. Emma wore a yellow sundress. I had bought her that dress for her birthday last year. They booked a couples massage at a spa in town. I know because I was close enough to hear them talking about it at the excursion desk. I followed them off the ship, keeping a good distance back. The streets of Palma were crowded with tourists, so blending in was easy. They walked hand in hand through the old town. They stopped at a cafe and ordered drinks. Jason pulled Emma close and kissed her. A real kiss, long and deep, right there in public, like they had no fear of being caught. I stood behind a pillar taking photos with my phone. Evidence. My hands were shaking so badly I almost dropped my phone. That night, I decided to do something risky. While they were at dinner, I went to Emma's cabin. I had watched her enter her code earlier. 4 digits. Our anniversary. She still used our anniversary as her door code while cheating on me. The irony was not lost on me. The cabin was identical to mine. Her suitcase was open on the bed, clothes everywhere. I looked through her things, hating myself but unable to stop. That is when I found the journal. Emma kept a journal. I never knew this. The entries were recent, starting about 4 months ago. I flipped through pages, my heart pounding. The entries were about Jason, how they met at a marketing conference, how the sex was electric and nothing like with Marcus, how she felt alive for the first time in years. Then I found an entry that made my blood run cold. It was dated 1 week ago. She wrote, "I think Marcus might suspect something. He has been quieter lately. But it doesn't matter. After this cruise, I'm leaving him anyway. Jason and I are going to start fresh. I just need to figure out how to break the news." My vision blurred. I heard footsteps in the hallway. I shoved the journal back and slipped out of her cabin just as voices approached. I ducked into my own cabin, heart racing.
Day 3 brought rough seas. The captain announced a storm system moving through the area. The ship rocked violently. Most passengers stayed in their cabins, seasick and miserable. I heard Emma throwing up in her bathroom. Through the wall, I could hear her groaning. Then I heard Jason knock on her door. He said, "Emma, baby, you okay?" She said, "I feel terrible, this stupid storm." He said, "I brought you some crackers and ginger ale." The tenderness in his voice made me want to scream. He was taking care of her, like a boyfriend, like what I should be doing if she had not lied to me. That night, the storm got worse. The ship tilted at steep angles. Things fell off shelves. The lights flickered. I lay in bed, listening to Emma crying in her cabin. She was scared. I could hear her whimpering. Part of me wanted to go to her. 5 years of instinct told me to comfort her. But I stayed in my bed, clutching my phone, looking at the photos I had taken of her and Jason together. Day 4. The storm passed. We docked in Naples. I was exhausted, running on maybe 5 hours of sleep total since boarding, but I could not stop now. I had come this far. I followed them to Pompeii. They hired a private guide and walked through the ancient ruins. Emma took selfies with Jason, kissing him in front of the preserved buildings. She posted them to a private Instagram account I did not even know she had, an account where she did not have to hide him. That afternoon, back on the ship, I saw something that pushed me to the edge. They were at the pool deck. Emma was in that new red bikini she had packed. Jason rubbed sunscreen on her back. His hands moved slowly, possessively. Then he leaned down and whispered something in her ear. She laughed and splashed water at him. I watched from the deck above, hidden behind a column. My chest felt tight. I could not breathe right. A staff member asked if I was okay. I said fine, just fine, but my voice sounded weird even to me. That night, I started drinking, heavy. I went to one of the ship's bars and ordered double whiskeys, one after another. The bartender's name was Carlos. He said, "Rough trip, friend?" I said, "You have no idea." He said, "Woman trouble?" I laughed. It came out bitter and harsh. "How did you guess?" He said, "I have been working on ships for 15 years. I can always tell." I almost told him everything, but instead I ordered another drink. By midnight, I was stumbling back to my cabin. The hallway tilted and swayed, or maybe that was just me. I stood outside Emma's door. I could hear them inside, music playing softly, voices, laughter. My hand went to the door handle. I almost knocked, almost ended the charade right there. But something stopped me, some survival instinct. I was too drunk for this confrontation, so I went to my cabin and passed out on the bed. Day 6. We were at sea, no port stops. The ship offered activities, shows, entertainment. I watched Emma and Jason sign up for a couple's cooking class. They wore matching aprons. They made pasta together, feeding each other, completely absorbed in their little fantasy world. I sat in the back of the cooking demonstration room, baseball cap pulled low. Nobody noticed me. I was invisible, a ghost haunting my own life. After the class, I followed them back to the cabin deck. They stopped outside Emma's door. Jason pushed her against the wall and kissed her hard. His hands were all over her. She moaned into his mouth. They were not being careful anymore. They felt safe here. That is when I snapped. I stepped forward, no longer caring about stealth. I said, "Emma!" She jerked away from Jason like she had been electrocuted. Her face went white, completely white. She said, "Marcus? What? How?" I said, "Surprise." Jason stepped in front of her protectively. He said, "Who the hell are you?" I laughed, actually laughed. It sounded insane. I said, "I am her fiancé. Who the hell are you?"
Emma started crying immediately. Fake tears. I knew her tells. She said, "Marcus, oh my God, I can explain." I said, "Explain what? Explain how you have been lying to me for months? Explain how you planned a romantic cruise with your affair partner while telling me you were at a conference?" Jason looked at Emma. He said, "Fiancé? You said you broke up with him." Emma's eyes went wide. She said, "I did. I was going to. Jason, I swear." I said, "She is lying. We live together. We share a bed. She was in my bed 5 nights before this cruise started." Jason's face changed, hardened. He said, "Are you serious right now, Emma?" She said, "No, Jason, he's lying. We are separated. He's just—" I pulled out my phone and showed him photos. Our apartment. Pictures from last month. Emma and me at a friend's wedding 3 weeks ago. Her arm around my waist, both of us smiling. Jason stepped back from her. He said, "You told me you were single." Emma reached for him. She said, "Baby, please let me explain." He said, "Do not call me that," and walked into his cabin, slamming the door. Emma turned on me. The crying stopped.
just like that. Her face transformed into something ugly. She said, "You followed me? You are insane, Marcus. You are a psycho." I said, "I'm the psycho? You cheated on me for months. You planned an entire vacation with another man." She said, "Because you were boring. Our relationship is dead. I needed excitement. I needed to feel wanted." I said, "So you lied instead of just breaking up with me like an adult?" She said, "I was going to break up with you. I just needed time." I said, "You had 8 months since we got engaged. You had plenty of time." She laughed, a mean laugh. She said, "God, you were so pathetic, following me on a cruise. What did you think would happen, that I would see you and realize I made a mistake?" I said, "I needed to see it for myself. I needed proof before I destroyed 5 years." She said, "Well, congratulations. You got your proof. Now what?" I stood there in that hallway, looking at this woman I thought I knew, this stranger wearing Emma's face. I said, "Now I go home and move your stuff out of our apartment. Now I call a lawyer and end this engagement. Now I move on with my life." She said, "Fine, great. I want it out anyway." I said, "One question. Did you ever love me?" She hesitated. Then she said, "I thought I did, but I think I just loved the idea of you, the stability, the safety. But I do not want safe anymore." I nodded. I felt weirdly calm. I said, "I hope he is worth it. I hope you find whatever you were looking for." She said, "I already did." I went back to my cabin. I packed my things. I booked a flight home from our next port stop. I spent the last 4 days of the cruise in my cabin, ordering room service, barely leaving. Jason knocked on my door once. He said, "For what it's worth, I'm sorry, man. I did not know." I said, "I believe you. She is good at lying." He said, "Yeah, I'm getting off at the next port too. This whole thing is messed up." I said, "Good luck." He said, "You too." Reflection and advice. So that's my story. I'm back home now. Emma's stuff is in storage. I changed the locks. I blocked her number. My lawyer is handling everything. Looking back, I should have confronted her the moment I found those texts. Following her on that cruise was probably crazy. But I needed to see it from my own eyes. I needed to understand that the woman I loved did not exist anymore. Maybe she never existed. My advice to anyone going through something similar: trust your gut. If something feels off, it probably is. Don't ignore the signs. Don't let someone gaslight you into thinking you're paranoid or crazy. And when you discover the truth, don't waste time trying to fix someone who doesn't want to be fixed. Emma made her choice long before I found out. The relationship was already over. I was just the last one to know. I'm not okay yet. Some days are harder than others, but I'm healing. I'm in therapy. I'm rebuilding my life. And eventually I'll be ready to trust someone again. Just not her. Never her again. If you made it this far, thanks for reading. I just needed to get this out, to tell someone, to stop carrying this weight alone.